It's a really tough year to be single because of COVID, right? Because I didn't want to get it. And I don't think I got it, by the way. I think I'm the only person that thinks that. Everyone I talk to is like, oh yeah, I had it back in 2012. Shit was crazy. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just trying to keep my distance anyway, but I have friends like that. They're like, dude, maybe you had it, you just don't know. I'm like, well, I think I'm gonna know. I can feel a winter storm coming in my right leg, but I'm gonna be asymptomatic for the worst virus in 100 years. I don't think so. I've never been asymptomatic for anything in my entire life. They say 50% of chlamydia cases are asymptomatic, but I've felt it every single time. So, I basically just didn't have sex for an entire year, which I don't recommend, but now that I'm through, when it comes to humping, I'm like a camel, you know? I can just go a long time through a dry stretch, and, because I wanted to keep touring, and it's like you can't be on Tinder. There's enough diseases on there as it is. You don't want to add COVID to the list. And so what I would do is I'd basically, like, I had to go to one of the cooler states, you know? Like, either like Washington's in like phase 2, but Texas was phase too many people are alive the whole time. So I would like fly there, go do a show, fly back, get tested, and then just hide out in my apartment in case I got sick. And people were like, why would you go on tour during a pandemic? And it's a complicated answer, so just bear with me. But I heard a story about Jim Carrey. Early on in his comedy career, he wrote himself $1 million check and then post-dated it for like 10 years in the future as a way to motivate himself to become famous. And then when that day came around, he was able to cash $1 million check to himself. And I did a similar thing. It's called credit cards. And the whole time I was like, money isn't real. And then they're like, we want that back. And I was like, guess I'm on tour during coronavirus. And but a couple months ago I was on tour and this girl came up to me after a show. She goes, I've already had COVID. I was like, oh, that is a great pickup line. You should keep using that. I feel so safe when I'm with you. And we hit it off, we had a couple drinks, end of the night we were making out, and then I got nervous in the middle of kissing her, because I was like, well, I know she doesn't have it, but what if it's just like on her? Right? Look, I'm not a scientist, I don't know how it works, but if she's got the antibodies, she's probably just, you know, raw dogging it without a mask the whole time, just collecting loose COVID all over her face, or I don't know, maybe she's got leftovers, I don't know how it works. Either way, I'm over here like, yeah, spit in my mouth, that's hot, you know? It's tough to be single just because of all the social change we've had the last couple years. It makes it interesting. I was reading a Playboy for the articles, and there was an article that said modern consent is where someone is as enthusiastic about having sex with you as you are with them. I was like, I don't think I've ever had consensual sex. Like, I'm so glad you guys laugh at that joke, I swear. Every time, I'm like, hope this one works. I'm not saying no one wants to fuck me, it's just, I'm doing most of the convincing, you know what I mean? But this article made it sound like sex is supposed to be like launching a nuclear missile, where I'm like, I have a key and you have a key, and we both turn it at the same time, and then phone the president to confirm the launch codes. Like, that sounds amazing. Just not happening often. I don't know. Consent is tricky, I guess, because sometimes consent is too enthusiastic, and that scares me off also. It's this weird Goldilocks zone, which is an awkward name for a joke about consent, because I don't think she had permission to go in that house. But I was texting a girl one time, and I invited her over. She goes, as long as you're not gonna murder me. I was like, I'm not gonna murder you, but I'll choke you if you ask. She goes, shouldn't even have to ask. I was like, I think you should have to ask. I think that's important. I appreciate the enthusiasm. It's just a lot of red flags for me. I mean, not enough, you know, we still fucked. But the whole time, I was like, hey, you better watch yourself. 16 or 17 more red flags. I am out of here, all right? You better be careful. I tried to date a couple girls this year. Almost every girl I dated ended up dumping me to get back with an ex-boyfriend, which is a disturbing trend. It feels like girls date me for 3 weeks and then they're like, maybe I can't do better. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just be over here working on myself, you know? I was flirting with this nurse gal for a couple months. That was pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. I have always had a fetish for that kind of thing, you know? Employed women. Oh my God, that is sexy. Oh, you got a steady paycheck and job security. That is hot. Yeah. Things really work out. You know, the pandemic was getting in the way of our sexy nurse role play we used to do. Because at first it was low cleavage and red lipstick. And then it was like, nice N95, baby. That's so hot. Ooh, your PPE is a garbage bag. Woo! You're steaming up my face shield, you know? Looking like Andy Reid on game day. It's a joke for 3 people, but it's a good one.